Ciao and welcome. I'm really excited about making this video because I get to cook my big red bell pepper which I brought back from Sicily. Here, I'll show you on this camera. To give you some context, this is a normal steak knife and look how big it is. We bought this in Sicily from one of those trucks on the side of the road. It's very common in many Mediterranean places like Sicily or even in Greece, where you will find people just selling vegetables, and whenever we do find vegetables from the side of the road, we always try and buy them from those people because I think they are a little bit fresher, more genuine, and look at the size. I could not find anything like that in supermarkets. Also, you save a little bit of money, but also you're supporting the local economy, so it's a win-win situation. And I will be stuffing it with a recipe which is one of Julie's flagship, chicken fiesta rice, and it comprises of meat. I've got here some sausages, a piece of chicken breast, and I could have used bacon, but I do not have any in the freezer or in the fridge, so I'm actually replacing it with some chorizo, but you can use bacon or indeed pancetta, and that is the meat dealt with. On the vegetable front, I will be using a couple of tomatoes. Also got a nice large carrot, one red onion or a white onion if you prefer, and I will be complementing it with some mushrooms, not all of them, and that is pretty much the vegetable front. Rice, I will be using some arboreal rice today, and on the spices front I've got here some cayenne and also some paprika. Julie's recommendation was to be generous, and that is it. Obviously olive oil, salt and pepper. So enough of the talking, let's do some of the walking and get on with the recipe. And I'll start by making a little soffritto. So the onion is going to be my first ingredient, so I'll just remove the skin as normal, and I'm doing little slices in approximately half a centimeter thickness. I have washed the carrot and given a good scrub because I like to retain the skin whenever I can. So that is really good for you and full of goodness and fiber. And I'll just chop it again. I've halved it and halved it again, and I'm doing little half a centimeter pieces. I'm going to use a little casserole dish today, as I will be using this also to cook the rice. And having added some olive oil, I'm now adding my carrots and my chopped onions, and I will leave them to sizzle for a good 4 or 5 minutes until they become nice and soft. In the meantime, whilst the vegetables cook, I'll make a start on the meat, and I'll do the chorizo first, as this is cured, and if I do it first, then I can put it away without worrying about any contamination. So I'll remove the skin from here. And quantity is entirely up to you to taste, but I'm going to just do about 4 or 5 slices. Chorizo can be quite overpowering, so I'm going to be slightly careful that I don't put too much in. If I would have used bacon, the likelihood is that I would have gone for smoked bacon, 2 or 3 slices. Smoked is even better. Sausages next, and I'll cut these in little round circles, and I'll make them about 1 centimeter in thickness each piece. And that's perfect, and all I've got left to do now is to slice my chicken. And I'm using chicken breast as it is what Julie recommends, but if you want to use chicken thighs, it would be also very good. I don't think it makes much difference. But as I will be stuffing the peppers with this mix, I want to make sure that my ingredients are not very big, so I'm going back on my chicken and making little cubes, approximately 1 to 2 centimeters each piece. The vegetables have been sizzling away and they're softened slightly, so I will start by adding the chorizo on its own first. My temperature is on medium-high at the moment, number 6 out of 9 in my case, and I'm mixing the chorizo on its own so that it doesn't have to fight for space with the sausages and with the chicken, so that it can release all of that beautiful color and also flavor. But literally no more than a minute, and I can add the rest of the meat now. And I'll mix, oops, that's hot, better get a cloth in there. I'll mix everything together until all of the meat has browned up, and that'll be about 5 minutes. Which is perfect, as it will give me the opportunity to get some of my other vegetables ready. So I'll start with some mushrooms, a good handful, about 100 grams. And in a similar fashion I did with the other vegetables, I'm now slicing them in approximately half a centimeter piece. I mentioned tomatoes, so I'll do exactly the same. I've got a couple of tomatoes. You can use any fresh tomatoes you like, but again, 1/2 centimeter pieces. And let's take a look. Oh, smells good already. And if you look, all of my meat and sausages have browned up, so good time to add some spices. And I'll start with some cayenne. Again, the quantity is to taste, but Julie's recommendation was be generous, so I'm going to be generous. And likewise, I'm now adding some smoked paprika, and I'm going to be generous once again. And I've mixed them all together again. I've learned. I've got my cloth in there, and I will allow the spices to be absorbed by all of this beautiful mix. And that is absolutely perfect. So good time to now add the rest of the ingredients. So I'll go ahead and put my sliced mushrooms and tomatoes in. And I'll mix everything together once again so that the mushrooms get to absorb some of this wonderful sauce. I'll put the lid on properly this time, and I'll leave them to now cook gently for about 5 minutes. Which is the perfect amount of time I need to prep my pepper. Now, I've been thinking, do I remove the head and fill it from the top and then cook it? Or do I cut it in half and then I'll do 2 halves? And I'm going for the latter, mostly because this hasn't got a flat end and it will not stand. So I think I will chop it in half and I'll cook 2 halves together. However, I need to find the best place where to cut it. And I can see that most probably if I go this way and I'll cut it in half using my knife here, most probably it's just as good as any. Yeah, perfect. And I'm going to leave the little knobbly bit at the end, as it will provide a little bit of a barrier against the mix as and when I fill it up later. But I will remove some of it, as I don't need it all. And also, while I'm at it, I will remove some of this white beef, which I don't want, as it is a little bit bitter and also not very easy to digest. Also, do ensure that you remove as many seeds as you can. And this is perfect, actually. It's beautiful. Here I've got this white beef which I don't want, so I'm gonna use a little teaspoon, as it's difficult to go in with a knife. And look, very easy, just comes out without damaging the pepper. And this is also ready, and if you look, I've got 2 perfect canoes ready to be stuffed with my mix in a minute. Maybe more than a minute, as the excitement is getting the better out of me, as I still need to cook the rice. Oops, I'm doing it again. So if you look, the mushrooms have reduced in size, so I can now add the rice. And again, I'm using Julie's guidance, and she said just put a handful of rice per person. So 2 handfuls of rice is what I'm going to be adding. And I will leave everything to cook for a good couple of minutes without the lid on, so that the rice start absorbing some of the liquid. I should point out that whilst I'm cooking the rice, I've turned the temperature up, so it's medium high now, number 8 out of 9. And if you look, a lot of the water has already been absorbed by the rice. And I'm gonna start topping it up with some water, which I've just boiled using my kettle. Enough to cover the top of the ingredients, like this. This is pork stock cube, but you can also use chicken or a vegetable stock cube if you prefer. And as the stock cube is quite salty, I will not be adding any salt right now. I can always add it at the end if it needs it, but I will be adding some pepper now. And it's cooking away quite nicely. You will have seen that I didn't add a lot of water, as I will need to stuff my pepper, and obviously I do not want to make a mess. But some of this liquid will evaporate, and of course the rest will be absorbed by the rice. Of course, you can always top it up if it becomes too dry. So I will leave it to cook until the rice is done, and then we can stuff the peppers. And after about 10 minutes, my rice is pretty much cooked. And if you look, actually I better turn it off. If you take a look, most of the water has gone, and I've been left with this beautiful and starchy cream. So I can start filling my peppers now. And here they are. I've placed them inside an oven dish already. And before I start filling them with my chicken and rice mix, I will add a layer of cheddar cheese. This is mature at the very bottom, and it will melt eventually, and it will be beautiful. And quite simply, I'll start filling my peppers with my beautiful mix. Do ensure that you also carry some of the liquid with you, as this will continue cooking in the oven, and obviously you do not want them to dry up too much. And also the liquid will find its way down to the very bottom, and they will fill every little hole. And before they go in the oven, I'll finish the way I started, and I'll add a little bit more mature cheddar at the very top now. And these are ready to go in the oven now, and actually if you look, I've got quite a little bit left, most probably the same again. So we can actually have this on the side if we feel it to be peggish. There's quite a bit there, so I don't think it would be the case. Or eat it on its own tomorrow, reheat it. That is actually how Julie cooked it. When I was in Castelvetrano in Sicily and I bought the pepper, I told the lady, her name is Maria, hi Maria, and she got really excited because I mentioned to her that I was going to be making a video, and she was incredibly helpful. And she told me that if I was going to be stuffing it, to ensure that I cooked it properly, because the peppers, especially these peppers, they do take a long time in the oven. So she said if you're cooking it whole as it is and you're stuffing it, 1 hour at 180 degrees. If you are going to be halving it, which is what I've done today, 45 minutes, still 180 degrees. So I'll see in about 45 to 50 minutes, but I'll let you know how long it took. So see you then. Thank you. And they are cooked, and they were in the oven for 50 minutes. One thing that I forgot to mention, by the way, was that I did actually cover them with some tin foil for the first 30 minutes so that they cooked properly, and then for the last 20 minutes I removed the tin foil so that they become lovely and you get this beautiful golden color. So I've also laid them on my bed of rice. I think it looks good. So all I've got left to do is to taste it now. Also, I should say, by the way, that we are going to be eating ours with this as a side dish here. There are some broad beans which I cooked earlier today. There's a separate video up here if you're interested. They're made with garlic, mint, and a beautiful marinade also with olive oil. And I show you in the video also how to cook not just the broad beans but also for freezing purposes. How to blanch them, that's the word. So there'll be a separate video up there if you're interested, but also all of these little videos, they are in a little playlist called Spring Lunch playlist, which contains all of these beautiful little dishes. But let's see what this is like. It's really delicious. The pepper is cooked to perfection. It's just slightly crunchy, which is just how you want it, but you don't want it raw. And really 50 minutes. But obviously if you've got, sorry, I'm chewing. If you've got smaller peppers, maybe 40 to 45 minutes. Ooh, I just got a kick from the chorizo. So actually, Julie, I mentioned this was your recipe at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
With the exception that I used chorizo instead of bacon, as we don't have any.
This is my infamous
chicken fiesta rice. Okay, that is the end of the video. Give it a shot, and if you've got any rice left over like I have, you can do a little bit or keep it for another day. Thank you for watching, and arrivederci e buon appetito. Ciao, grazie.